This is Tank's Vlog, September 2nd, 2018. Wrapping up the day in sports. We're brought to you by Allow Me to Be Frank, the weekly podcast you can hear on iTunes and SoundCloud. Last week we had Jerry Thornton of Barstool fame, the author of the book 5 Rings chronicling the New England Patriots dynasty. This week we'll be recording on Tuesday a new show with people from MyBookie AG and from our big friend, our good friend, the man who makes things run, Stu Feiner, the source himself, will be on Tuesday as we get ready to talk about the NFL season, gambling advice. It's going to be a Hall of Fame show, I can guarantee that. Now, it's time to review the first full Saturday of college football. Oh, it's finally here. Football season, and it was a great day for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish as they beat Michigan in their first meeting in 4 years. It was nice to finally get a big win here. Notre Dame's got a schedule this year that if they win their biggest games, they can make a run at the college football playoff. And this was one of the big ones, one of the big hurdles to get out of the way. And they did it. They jumped out to a big lead, and then they kind of like Michigan's defense played better, or Notre Dame got a little too conservative with the ball. Nonetheless, they only managed a field goal in the second half, but the Notre Dame defense was terrific. I mean, the only touchdown the defense allowed, of course, their special teams allowed the kickoff return, but the defense allowed one late. And I don't know about you, but that McCaffrey kid certainly looked a lot better than Shea Patterson from Michigan. I mean, Shea Patterson, oh boy, he looked timid, he looked scared. And, of course, he did lead a touchdown, but that was kind of a weird drive to begin with. And then when he got the ball back with a chance to tie the game with 2 minutes left, he fumbles. Notre Dame won the game. Now what's going to be happening in Ann Arbor is that seat's got to be getting awful hot for Jim Harbaugh. I mean, Michigan still hasn't beaten a ranked team on the road. It's now been since 2006 that they beat a ranked team on the road. And fans in Michigan are beginning to lose their patience with the guy in the khaki pants. One of the other big games on Saturday was Washington and Auburn. Washington came in the game ranked 6th, and Auburn came in the game ranked 9th. And Auburn finally won a game at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. They lost the last 2 games. This is actually Auburn's 3rd straight game in Atlanta, believe it or not. They played the SEC championship game. They lost. They played in the Peach Bowl. Lost. And then today, Washington. And Washington was their own worst enemy. They blew so many opportunities. So many opportunities to win this game. And they just flat out blew it. I mean, ugh. Right, they lost, and they only have themselves to blame. It's all your fault. I mean, time and time again, to get the ball in the red zone, came up with field goals, or even no points at all. Bad misses, turnovers. And they lost the game 21-6. This was a game that was in Washington's hands, and they simply let it slip away. And it's not just Washington. The whole Pac-12. Oh my! What a bad day for the Pac-12. I mean, UCLA lost at home in Chip Kelly's debut to Cincinnati. I mean, how do you lose to Cincinnati if you're UCLA? I know they got a while to go before they get that thing turned around, but boy, that's a hell of a setback. And of course, this one's something else. Now, everyone knows Oregon State's a terrible team, but they got humiliated in Columbus, losing to Ohio State 77-31. I think someone needs to talk to the Pac-12 about the beef. I mean, then you got the other schools won. USC, they beat UNLV, and UNLV is no good. Oregon beat up on Bowling Green 58-24. Washington State beat Wyoming 41-19. Cal beat North Carolina 24-17. And Arizona State beat Texas San Antonio 49-7. But BYU beating Arizona? If any conference had a nightmare weekend, it definitely was the Pac-12. I mean, the Pac-12 of the Power 5 conferences right now might be ranked 5th after performances like that. In the ACC, basically we have some big matchups still left in the ACC, with Miami playing LSU on Sunday and Florida State playing Virginia Tech Monday. But Louisville, woo, Louisville. Now, we know Alabama is the best team in the country, but Alabama just flat out embarrassed Louisville today in Orlando, 51-14. It was Clemson beating Furman 48-7. Furman. Talk about Cupcake Central. North Carolina State, they had a tough time with James Madison. That's something you don't want to see happen. 24-13. Georgia Tech beat Alcorn State 41-0. It was Boston College 55-21 winners over UMass. Pitt beat Albany 33-7. Virginia beat Richmond 42-13. Looking around the Big 12. The eyes of Texas are upon. It's safe to say the Longhorns are not back. 34-29 losers to Maryland. And Maryland's a team that's going through turmoil, tumult. They had that McNair die in the offseason. Their coaching staff and athletic director are on paid leave. I mean, it's a mess in Maryland, and Texas managed to lose. Poor Texas. And yeah, there's a team that's just like Texas and is a program in ruin right now, and that's Tennessee. And Tennessee was embarrassed tonight by West Virginia, 40-14, as Will Grier kicked off his Heisman campaign, passing for 429 yards with 5 touchdowns to lead the West Virginia Mountaineers to 40-14 victory. Meanwhile, Ole Miss beat Texas Tech. That's an embarrassing loss for Texas Tech. And, of course, Kansas. Rock Tough, Jayhawk, Rock Tough, Jayhawk. You know, Kansas, it's time to shut down this football program. You are embarrassing. You are horrendous. You are awful. And you lost in overtime to Nicholls State. Nicholls State. Nicholls State isn't even a good team in FCS, and you lost to them. It looks like it's going to be another 1 or 0 win season for the Jayhawks. I mean, the Jayhawks, if you look at their win total the last few years, it's gone binary. 1-0, 0-0, 1-1, 1-0-1. Kansas State also survived a scare against the Division FCS team. needed 15 unanswered points in the fourth quarter to beat South Dakota, 27-24. Although South Dakota is a decent program. Baylor beat Abilene Christian, 55-27. While Iowa had their game canceled by a rainstorm. Spinning around the Big Ten, it was Rutgers beating Texas State 35-7. I mean, Rutgers has bold visions dancing in their head, and these are the games Rutgers needs to win. They need to beat the teams they should beat, and Texas State is definitely a team they should beat. Meanwhile, Penn State survived a scare against Appalachian State, winning 45-38 in overtime, as Appalachian State scored 28 points in the fourth quarter to force overtime, but they missed a field goal, 54-yard field goal at the end of regulation, and ended up falling in overtime. Illinois rallied to beat Kent State 31-24, avoiding an embarrassing loss there. Iowa beat Northern Illinois 33-7. Indiana beat Florida International 38-28, while Nebraska had Scott Frost's debut canceled by a rainstorm. In Conference USA action, well, as we mentioned before, Oklahoma crushed Florida. No, we actually skipped this one. Oklahoma crushed Florida Atlantic 63-14, getting off to a good start there. It was Houston 45-27 over Rice. Marshall thundered over Miami, Ohio 35-28. Liberty, making its FBS debut, thumped Old Dominion 52-10. It was Charlotte 34-10 winners over Fordham. Louisiana Tech 30-26 over South Alabama. It was Southern Miss 55-7 winners over Jackson State. North Texas doubled up SMU 46-23. UTEP, oh boy, is UTEP a bad program. They lost today to Northern Arizona 30-10. You might want to stay down in that mine for a while, UTEP. Vanderbilt beat Middle Tennessee 35-7. In the Mountain West Conference, it was Boise State introducing the turnover throne, beating Troy 56-20. Air Force blanked Stony Brook 38-0. New Mexico beat Incarnate Word. Is that an actual college? Incarnate Word? Where did this college come from? Incarnate Word. And you allowed Incarnate Word to score 30 points. That's bad. That's really bad. You won the game, but you allowed a team called Incarnate Word to score 30 points. It's a good thing they didn't play Incarnate Word number. They would have lost. Fresno State beat Idaho 79-13. Idaho, former FBS program, said, "Oh, I had enough of this. Guys, later, I'm going back to FCS." Well, they showed why they're back in FCS by getting stomped by Fresno State 79-13. You know, Idaho used to have a rivalry with Boise State. Boise State canceled the rivalry because Idaho was not competitive. And this was a score that stood out to me. Hawaii beat Navy 59-41. Connor McDonald had a game. E-I-E-I-O. And in this game, he threw for a whole bunch of 429 yards. E-I-E-I-O. With six touchdowns here, a touchdown there, everywhere. Touchdown. Connor McDonald led the Warriors to a win over Navy. Wrapping up the rest, some of the other action. SEC play. Texas A&M beat Northwestern State 59-7. Georgia blanked Austin Peay 45-0. It was Mississippi State 63, Stephen F. Austin 6. South Carolina beat Coastal Carolina 49-15. Kentucky over Central Michigan 35-20. Missouri 51-14 winners over Tennessee Martin. Arkansas 55-20 over Eastern Illinois. Florida 53-6 winners over Charleston Southern. A lot of cupcakes. Cupcakes were delicious today, I guess. In the American Conference, is there any games that we missed here? South Florida over Elon, 34-14. Temple lost the Battle of Philadelphia to Villanova, 19-17. Villanova is an FCS program, a good one, but still an FCS program. It was Memphis 66, 14 winners over Mercer. Tulsa 38-27 over Central Arkansas. And let's take a look at the MAC. There's no need to look at the Sun Belt. The less you look at the Sun Belt, the better. It was Ohio 38-32 winners over Howard. Buffalo swatted Delaware State 48-10. Toledo, with a punt block for the ages, beat VMI 66-3. So there's a complete wrap-up of the first Saturday in college football. And just think, we have 13 more weeks just like this. Turning to baseball, the Mets finally won a game where they got a great great pitching performance. Steven Matz, I mean, he had the Giants' bats silenced all day long. Mets, though, he didn't get the win. He did not get the win. The Mets needed to go to 11 innings and got a sac fly off the bat of Todd Frazier to beat the Giants 2-1. 2-1 was also the score of the Yankee game. And the Yankees only got 2 hits, but one of those 2 hits, a 2-run home run by Gleyber Torres. Very appropriate that it's Labor Day weekend. And the Yankees beat the Tigers 2-1 as Masahiro Tanaka gave him an excellent performance on the mound. Big key moment there was he had second and third, nobody out, 7th inning, and he basically struck out the side. And the Yankees needed that win because the Red Sox thumped the White Sox 6-1. Elsewhere, the Nationals, now officially playing spoiler, beat the Brewers 5-4, getting back to 500. Cubs clobbered the Phillies 7-1. That loss is very costly for the Phillies. Who are both in the race for the NL East and the wild card, as the Atlanta Braves beat the Pirates 5-3. 5-3 was the same score as the Rays beat the Indians, although the Indians have nothing to worry about, considering they lead the Central Division by about 1 million games. Astros beat the Angels 7-3, and the Mariners beat the A's 8-7, keeping their wildcard hopes somewhat alive, while Chris Davis hit his 40th home run of the season for Oakland. Mariners beat the fading Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays have been especially bad lately. In the battle of the 2 worst teams, The Royals got a 2-run home run by Muirfield in the ninth inning to win with a walk-off home run, 5-4. Orioles are quickly approaching 100 losses at 40-96. It was the Reds blanking the Cardinals 4-0. It was the Rangers 7-4 winners over the Twins. In L.A., 3-run home run by Matt Kemp in the 8th inning led the Dodgers to a 3-2 win over the Diamondbacks. They are now in a dead-even tie atop the National League West, and with the Colorado Rockies beating the Padres 4-2, they're only a half game out. We are getting set for some absolute thrillers in the National League playoff picture. NFL today, number of teams, basically all the teams finalized their roster, and the biggest move was the Oakland Raiders pulling the trigger and trading Khalil Mack, the player they just could not find a way to work out a deal for. They're in salary cap hell. They couldn't pay him what he wanted, so they were forced to trade Mack to the Chicago Bears. They got a slew of draft picks in return, so it's going to be interesting to see how this works out. Will Mack be enough to make the Bears a contender? And can the Raiders use these players to be a contender by the time they get to Vegas? Because it's apparent that the John Gruden era is not off to a flying start. I mean, it's almost like the tires have fallen off on the first lap of the Raiders season. I mean, Derek Carr is still a pretty good player, but the trade for Martavius Bennett that blew up in their faces. They released him, facing suspension, and they gave up a 3rd-round pick for him. I mean, right now, the Raiders are a total mess. There's just no two ways about it. Today's 3 stars are Cole McDonald of Hawaii, who had a great game. Will Greer of West Virginia had almost the same type of passing performance against Tennessee, and Will Greer is a definite Heisman contender. And Louis Castillo of the Reds, who allowed just 2 hits in 6 2/3 innings with 11 strikeouts against the Cardinals. Today's birthday shout-out goes to quarterback who's won 4 Super Bowls, a pair of Super Bowl MVPs, and has been on Fox for like 25 years now, and I'm talking about Terry Bradshaw, who turned 70. And we take a look back to 1979, when Otis Anderson made his NFL debut, rushing for 193 yards, 1 short of the singles game record for a rookie in his debut game. And but the Cardinals could not get the win, as Rafael Septien hit a game-winning field goal with 1:16 left to lead the Cowboys to what was their 15th straight season-opening win. So check out the full story of Barstool Sports and Sports Encyclopedia, where sports history lives. Good day.